How Fever overcame 5 season-ending injuries to make playoffs. We all we got, we all we need. Baltimore. When Caitlin Clark got injured, it changed the scope of this Indiana Fever team. Clark, the 2024 Rookie of the Year and first-team All-WNBA selection, has been the engine that drives the Fever. She smashed multiple league-wide records in her first season, including the WNBA assist record, on the way to leading the Fever to their first postseason appearance in 7 years. The locker room at Gainbridge Fieldhouse was buzzing with a strange mix of exhaustion and triumph. Tape littered the floor, towels were tossed over chairs, and the faint sound of music pulsed from someone's speaker in the corner. The Indiana Fever had just clinched a playoff spot, their second in as many years, but this one felt different. Harder. Grittier. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not after the rash of injuries that, one by one, took away key pieces of their roster. Not after critics had written them off as too young, too thin, too broken. Not after the headlines kept piling up about who wouldn't be suiting up rather than who would. And yet here they were, standing tall in September, playoff-bound. As veteran guard Erica Wheeler put it bluntly when asked how they pulled it off. We all we got, we all we need. A season that looked doomed before it began. The Fever entered the 2025 season with optimism. Caitlin Clark's rookie year had brought a jolt of energy to the franchise, and the front office built around her with a balanced mix of veterans and athletic role players. Expectations weren't just playoffs, they were a deep run. But fate had other plans. Nalissa Smith, their versatile forward and double-double machine, tore her Achilles during training camp. Out for the season. Kelsey Mitchell, the franchise's longtime scoring leader, fractured her foot in May. Done. Lexi Hall, a defensive spark plug off the bench, dislocated her shoulder badly enough to require surgery. Damiris Dantas, a veteran forward they signed for stability, went down mid-season with a torn ACL. Gone. And the final blow, Grace Berger, their steady young guard, tore her meniscus in July. Another season-ending injury. 5 players. 5 crucial pieces. It felt like every week we were bracing for the next bad news, head coach Christy Sides admitted. You don't game plan for losing half your rotation. You just adjust and survive. The rallying cry. The turning point didn't come on the court. It came in a players-only meeting after Berger's injury. By then, the Fever had dropped 4 straight games. The chatter outside was brutal. Indiana's cursed. No depth left. Clark can't do it alone. Maybe next year. Inside the locker room, Erica Wheeler stood up. We can sit here and feel sorry for ourselves, she told her teammates. Or we can fight like hell with what we got. Nobody's coming to save us. It's us. Period. From that night forward, a phrase was born. We all we got, we all we need. It was scribbled on whiteboards, shouted during huddles, and printed on t-shirts the team started wearing to practice. Clark's evolution, from star to survivor. For Caitlin Clark, year 2 wasn't about highlight reels and logo threes. It was about survival. Defenses were merciless, throwing double teams, traps, and physicality at her every night. With Mitchell out, she was the unquestioned focal point, and opponents smelled blood. But instead of folding, Clark adapted. She cut her turnovers nearly in half by mid-season. She learned to pick her spots, sometimes racking up 12 assists instead of 30 points. She attacked the rim more, absorbing contact to get to the line. It wasn't about being flashy, Clark said. It was about doing whatever gave us a chance, rebounding, facilitating, whatever. Winning ugly still counts as winning. Her toughness set the tone. Even when her shot wasn't falling, teammates fed off her fight. The unsung heroes. While Clark shouldered the spotlight, the Fever's patchwork lineup turned into a story of unexpected heroes. Aaliyah Boston, in just her 3rd season, became the anchor. With Smith and Dantas out, Boston was forced to expand her game. She turned into a nightly double-double machine, controlling the paint while becoming more vocal as a leader. Victoria Saxton, once seen as a fringe player, stepped into a starting role. Her relentless energy on defense and the glass made her indispensable. Christy Wallace, who had bounced around the league, emerged as the glue guard. She defended, hit timely threes, and ran the offense when Clark rested. Rookie undrafted signee Kayla Jones became the fan favorite. A long shot to even make the roster, she brought hustle and heart every minute she played. Kayla's the definition of "we all we got," Wheeler joked. These weren't household names, but they were the ones dragging Indiana into the fight every night. Defensive identity. If offense was shaky without their scorers, the Fever doubled down on defense. Coach sides installed a swarming, switch-heavy scheme. They leaned into physicality, grinding games into low-scoring slugfests. By August, Indiana ranked top 3 in defensive efficiency, a stat that would have seemed impossible in June. It wasn't pretty basketball, Boston said with a grin. But pretty wasn't gonna get us to the playoffs. Grit did. The game that defined them. Every resilient team has the game. For the Fever, it came against the New York Liberty in late August. On paper, Indiana had no business competing. New York had Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquil Jones. A super team. The Fever? A patchwork rotation of 7 healthy players. But for 40 minutes, they clawed, scrambled, and fought. Clark hit a late 3 to tie it. Boston blocked Stewart at the rim. And in the final seconds, Wheeler drove coast to coast, drawing a foul and sinking the winning free throws. Final score, Fever 82, Liberty 80. The locker room after was chaos. Water bottles sprayed like champagne. Players screamed, "We all we got," in unison. That was the moment, Wallace said later. That was when we knew this wasn't a fluke. We could beat anybody if we stayed together. Fence buy-in. The Fever faithful had endured years of losing before Clark's arrival. Now, even with half the roster sidelined, attendance skyrocketed. Crowds brought homemade signs with slogans like, "We believe," and "All we need is us." The Gainbridge Fieldhouse became a fortress, with fans feeding the team's energy. You walk in and see 17,000 people standing and screaming for us. It gives you goosebumps, Boston said. They were part of this run. Clinching day. The playoff clincher came on the road in Washington. Indiana needed a win, plain and simple. The Mystics were surging late in the year, desperate to grab the last postseason slot. It was ugly basketball. Both teams shot under 40%. Clark had just 11 points but 13 assists. Boston battled foul trouble. The bench was razor thin. But in the fourth quarter, the Fever's identity took over. Saxton grabbed 3 offensive boards in a single possession. Wallace hit a corner 3. And with under a minute left, Wheeler calmly dribbled out the clock after sinking 2 free throws to seal it. Final, Fever 75, Mystics 70. When the buzzer sounded, players collapsed to the floor, laughing, crying, hugging. Against all odds, the Indiana Fever were back in the postseason. Beyond the box score, the Fever's playoff spot wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about resilience, culture, and rewriting a narrative.